Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Petrino. I'm a captain here at the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office. We're going to start the press conference when I turn it over to Sheriff Patrick Withrow to provide a statement, and then we'll open it up for questioning. If you would do me a favor, we will call on you one at a time regarding the questioning and get answers to each and every one of those. So, having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Patrick Withrow.
Thanks, Cap. All right, well, thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it. I'm going to put on my glasses, as Captain Petrino told you. I'm going to read a statement, and then we'll go into your questions. So I felt it was important for public awareness and for public safety to notify everyone of an event that is occurring tomorrow, Saturday, September 24th. To set the context and the nature of this event so that everyone truly understands the seriousness of what we're about to face, I'd like to now read something directly from the Department of Justice website, and I'm quoting from their website. Outlaw motorcycle gangs, which they call OMGs, are organizations whose members use their motorcycle clubs as conduits for criminal enterprise. OMGs are highly structured criminal organizations whose members engage in criminal activities such as violent crime, weapons trafficking, and drug trafficking. There are more than 300 active OMGs within the United States. They range in size from single chapters with 5 or 6 members to hundreds of chapters with thousands of members worldwide. The Hells Angels, the Mongols, the Banditos, the Outlaws, and the Sons of Silence pose a serious national domestic threat and conduct the majority of the criminal activity linked to OMGs, especially relating to drug trafficking and more specifically to cross-border drug smuggling. Because of their transnational scope, these OMGs are able to coordinate drug smuggling operations and partnerships with major international drug trafficking organizations, also known as DTOs. So that's the end of my quote. So, as you might guess who's coming to town? My office was notified on August 25th of a planned funeral and memorial event by the Hells Angels Outlaw motorcycle gang. The event was originally planned for Oakland, California. However, that venue location was moved to the 99 Speedway in Stockton in my county's jurisdiction. The event will formally begin at a burial site outside our county, with the attendees heading over to the 99 Speedway on Wilson Way in Stockton at approximately 2 p.m. Now, these times and everything have been given to us by the Hells Angels motorcycle gang themselves and the management at the Motor Speedway, so they could be off. As of now, we are aware of approximately 4,500 reservations made for this event, although some projections from our federal partners go as high as 20 to 30,000 people. As seen in previous high-profile funerals and gatherings of this nature, attendees have come from locations worldwide, and there is a long history of these types of gatherings resulting in violence such as shootings, stabbings, and homicides. In my opinion, despite my office communicating grave concerns for the safety of the attendees and our community, the ownership and management of the 99 Speedway continued with their event planning and disregarded the input from all our law enforcement partners. Subsequently, my office and numerous allied agencies have mobilized and dedicated an extreme number of resources for the day of the event to safeguard our community. I would like to make it clear, we are in no way in contract with or providing security service to the venue location or any of its attendees. Rather, I am bringing in substantial resources to protect the safety of the general public from the violence and danger that may result from this event. Additionally, we have been working hand in hand with our neighboring agencies here in San Joaquin County should they need additional resources and manpower from the violence that may spread out in our community after this event. I'm asking for members of the community, particularly in the areas surrounding the event, but also just countywide, to make an effort to stay out of the area on Saturday altogether. Community members should also know there will be numerous traffic closures and/or detours in the immediate area surrounding the event in order to control and maintain traffic safety. And we've been working closely with the California Highway Patrol with them on that. I'd like to acknowledge and thank our allied agencies for their willingness to assist with this public safety event. The California Highway Patrol, as I've mentioned, the Stockton Police Department, Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office, Caltrans, San Joaquin County Public Works, San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services, San Joaquin County Probation Department, and of course, all our surrounding law enforcement agencies in the cities within our county. I sincerely hope our preparation and resources turn out, and it turns out to be totally unnecessary. I hope we don't have to use them at all. However, the history of these outlaw motorcycle gang groups having large gathering, unfortunately, tells us otherwise. I'd like everyone in this county to be aware of this event and the potential danger of this event. But rest assured that the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office and all our law enforcement partners are prepared fully to protect the public, and we have mobilized all the needed resources to ensure that we can handle any problems that may arise. So at this time, I take your questions if you have.
Sheriff, the promoter, Tony Nassetti, says that the Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels, the leader there, promises or guarantees that there will be no problems with this Withrow service. What do you say to that?
So just to clarify, you're telling me one of the leaders of the largest motorcycle gang criminal organization in our country, if not the world, has promised that there's going to be no problems? Well, I would say that if Mr. Nassetti believes that statement, he's either dumb as a stump or afraid for his life. Any other questions? Yes.
Is there any indication that any rifle clubs are going to be out or in the area that you guys have heard?
That's a great question. They're asking about rival clubs. So I'll tell you, Mr. Nassetti said in his statement that these gangs are no longer violent. They're just a motorcycle club. So for this event, they had to strike a, what's the word I'm looking for? Truce. They had to strike a truce with their enemies, asking them not to come and create violence at the event in our county. So I don't know if you can believe their word or not. They've agreed not to have any violence at the event. But in the truce, it was said, but going to and from the event, there is no truce. So you tell me, does that make you feel safe with what Mr. Nassetti said up to 8,000 now? He started with 2,500 number, and we're expecting, I don't know, probably double that. So there are definitely going to be rival gangs in the area, and when those two mix, there's usually trouble.
And Sheriff, have there been any recent history, to your knowledge, of Hells Angels violence
Absolutely.
Here in San Joaquin County?
Absolutely. Right here in San Joaquin County, about 3 months ago, a gentleman by the name of Stephen Buchanan was lured in and beaten to death in Clements by 3 Hells Angels members. We have 2 of those members in custody, and we believe that the Hells Angels are hiding and helping the other one to avoid law enforcement at this time. So I also believe Mr. Nassetti said that they hadn't really been violent since the 80s. Well, I think the Buchanan family would disagree with that.
You're bringing in extra resources for all of this. What does this mean for taxpayer dollars and resources that could be going somewhere else?
It's huge. It's huge. That's why we went to Mr. Nassetti and asked him not to do this, not to bring this to our county. So far, our department alone, we're dedicating hundreds of men and women to be on duty for this. And we've spent close to almost $500,000 ourselves in money preparing for this and getting through this as of Saturday. But that doesn't count what our California Highway Patrol partners are doing throughout the state here. And all the law enforcement agencies, our federal partners, and everyone that I read on this list, This is costing the taxpayers millions of dollars because the 99 Speedway wouldn't listen to law enforcement concerns and just thought of themselves and not our community.
I think, oh, go ahead.
Sheriff, can you speak to whether or not you have any indication of specific threats or specific incidents? I understand you've outlined pretty clearly the reputation of these groups, but any indication you have that there could be something specific that's going to happen here?
Well, we go by the history of these gatherings, as I mentioned in my statement. And, you know, the last funeral over in San Jose, it wasn't a rival gang. The HA started shooting each other. There was one homicide in that one. So I think what shows the evidence that they're worried about the violence is, one, as Mr. Nassetti said, they're searching each one of their own members when they come into this event. So the Hells Angels say that they're going to be searching the Hells Angels. So I think that's going to work well. And secondly, they tried to strike a truce with the outlawing other motorcycle gangs. So I think that's evident that they too are worried that they're going to have a lot of their members in one place, and they think that the mongrels, who are based right next door in Stanislaus County, are going to drive up and pay them a visit.
I think like maybe the average reader might be curious, like, hey, why doesn't some agency go ahead and just shut this thing down before it happens? I'm curious why that wasn't the
That's a great question. We attempted to do that. We attempted to get a court order to stop it. But the reason it was stopped over in the Bay Area was because it was going to be on public lands at the Coliseum. And therefore they would have had to pay the police departments in the area for their security. And the number was so astronomical that they canceled it there, found a guy like Mr. Nassetti, who agreed to do this, and but we could not get a court order ahead of time. We did not have everything we needed. His is a private venue. He has his all his permits and everything in place for his racetrack, so he didn't really have to ask anybody about doing this.
Sheriff, I spoke this morning to the vice president at the Stockton chapter of the Hells Angels, and they also made guarantees of peace. Have you approached them at all about maybe moving it or setting ground rules? Have you approached the local chapter or the Oakland chapter?
Well, I've got to tell you, I'm not in the habit of bargaining with criminals, but I'm happy that they want to keep this a safe event. But we did have a meeting with them. One meeting, Mr. Nassetti called us, and we had one sit-down meeting that the Hells Angels were at. That's where he sprung this on us. I was actually at the State Sheriff's Association being briefed by our federal partners at the time that the Hells Angels event had moved and they didn't know where it was going. And I received a call saying that we're in a meeting right now where they're telling us where it's going. So, you know, I am praying that this is going to be a safe event. I want this to go off with no problems. If they can control their people, that's fine. At the event, they will have their people there to control their people, we hope. But what happens after they leave? What happens when they spread out through our community, at their hangouts through the community, as they're going through our community, the bars and restaurants and things like that? And you know, they're serving alcohol at this event at the 99 Speedway, and usually when you have alcohol and outlaw motorcycle gangs, it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and Sheriff, just to reiterate again, for folks that are fearful, that are worried, how visible will law enforcement be close to the Speedway?
You know, we're not going to talk about our tactics and where we're going to be, but you can rest assured we will be in close proximity. We will know everything that's going on in there. I will not put my own officers or any of our law enforcement people in any harm's way to go into that vent or anything like that. We have plans with fire and medical all set up that if an event was to happen in there, we will contain it to that area. And then if they want to bring injured people out to Wilson Way, we might be able to do rescues that way. But the people should know that are going to this event, that if you choose to go into this event, I will not put my officers in harm's way. This is not like an active shooter at a school. These are people that are choosing to hang around with outlaw motorcycle gangs, and that's not a safe place to be.
Do you know what the crowd capacity for the speedway is?
Mr. Nassetti told us it was 6,000. And again, he's estimating 8,000 for this event. And we're betting it's gonna be much more than that.
Can you, logistically, how does that work? The capacity is 6,000 and there's 8,000 people there. Does it get shut down because there's too many people in there?
Well,
Or?
you don't shut down an event like this. That's why we want to stop it ahead of time. No, it starts spilling out into the street on Wilson Way. California Highway Patrol has a plan in place that's very fluid and has also dedicated an exorbitant amount of staff and equipment to control it, so that our goal is if it goes bad at an event like this and they're only hurting each other, we're gonna make sure that it stays away from our good public and keep everyone safe, and then deal with the aftermath. But it's gonna spill out into the street, there's no doubt.
You mentioned alcohol being served, and I recognize we're talking about a very large scale event. Is there going to be any focus on sobriety checkpoints or anything like that, or are we just talking about way too many people to even be considering?
Yeah, we're talking about way too many people to try and do traffic stops or anything like this. These outlaw motorcycle gangs, they travel in packs, and they have a tremendous amount of weapons at all times around them. There was just a case we just heard about yesterday. What state was that in, Captain Barnes?
I believe it was Kansas.
In Kansas, that a pack of Hells Angels motorcycles, we can only assume heading this way. Some of them went down and crashed. When law enforcement got on scene, they found a tremendous amount of ammunition that had been thrown over the side of the road that they were clearly bringing either to this event or to the Hells Angels somewhere. So it's very, very dangerous for law enforcement to engage when there's packs of them unless we have our own pack.
Have you guys been made aware of any events leading up to tomorrow's events here in Stockton?
Yes, on the website of the local chapter, there's supposed to be a car show and I believe a cruise, I think it said also. So we are working closely with our partners at Stockton PD. They are well prepared, so you can only imagine how much money this is costing the city of Stockton, in the city of Lodi, in the city of Tracy, and Manteca. All our cities in our county are bracing for this event, staffing up for this event, and as you say, they continue to promise that they are going to police this themselves, and again, we hope that happens. That would be fantastic.
Sheriff, what do you think the overall message, being the community is going to take away from this? I know that you have asked them for their own safety to try to stay away and stay in their homes, but at the same time, I'm wondering about a person sitting at home being told, okay, so you're saying that a bunch of outlaws are coming over, taking over our region, and we're just gonna have to live with the fact that that's happening to us.
Yeah, I understand what you're asking, and I would understand that feeling, but we're not just putting up with it. We're prepared for it. We're prepared to take action and do whatever we have to do to make sure not one single person here in San Joaquin County is injured or anything like that. And so I want the public to rest assured that myself and our law enforcement partners throughout this county and throughout the state, because everyone's preparing for this. These folks are going back to Oakland after this too. We are ready for this. The public does not need to be worried for their safety. I just wanted to be aware of this is going on so they can make good choices, maybe to stay out of that area. And maybe tonight's not the night, or Saturday night's not the night to go out and grab a drink at a bar. At least not one that the motorcycle guys hang out at.
To follow up on that, we talked about the public side, but for the law enforcement side, even as you talk to your partner agencies, as you talk to the officers, the deputies who are going to be out there, saying that we're dealing with a situation where we're potentially just going to have a certain amount of lawlessness descend on our region. We're going to use everything we got, but there's just that much lawlessness that can potentially happen. I mean, the big picture for that there is the capacity to overwhelm a region and the law enforcement agencies.
Well, you're asking me what my guys think about this?
Or just your thoughts on that big picture of knowing that, okay, we're going to put everything out there, but there's a potential for this much to just come in and we're just.
Well, we can handle it. And it's not going to be lawlessness running around our thing and we're going to be letting it happen. We can handle it. We're hoping that they handle it themselves, but we don't fight fire with fire, and we will bring an exorbitant amount of resources to make sure that we can squash any problem that we have whatsoever. We don't anticipate that, but we have over-prepared for this. We are used to being outnumbered, as you've seen in the last few summers in protests and things like that. And we handle it intelligently and by doing things like not having a DUI checkpoint outside a place like this, which might cause more problems. And so we handle it intelligently, but we will be gathering information. So any law that is violated that we aren't able to deal with at that time, I'm certainly is going to be captured on just about every angle from every camera in our county. And so we are going to handle this just as we handle everything that's thrown at us. And I'm confident in the men and women in law enforcement, and we're ready for it.
I mean, can you answer that too, as far as your guys here, talking to them, getting prepared for this? What is the feeling?
Well, this is what we do. This is game time for us, you know. We love protecting our public, and we get irate when people want to violate the safety of our community here. So they are more than ready, to the point where we have to make sure that we're saying, hey, look guys, officer safety. You don't just rush right in. We use good tactics. We make sure that we're doing the right thing, but this is what we get paid for. All right. All right, I will turn it back over to Captain Petrino, and if you have any other questions at the end of this, the PIOs and everybody will be running around. So thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. If there are no further questions, we do have our public information officers, Deputy Sandra Mendez and Deputy Nick Goucher behind there. I'll also remain in the area. If there's any further questioning any of you have, we'll be happy to take those questions and answer them. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. That concludes the press conference.